I'm Dr. Connie. I'm your host of Mind Your Health podcast. I share my unique perspective both as a practitioner and a patient battling autoimmune condition for over 25 years because I had to figure things out on my own, and my education in my practical approach as a patient allows me to truly integrate it so that you can be whole and the burden of sick care is no longer your own burden to carry. And this is what we help you with in this podcast.
Hey guys, so as you guys know, at my studio, Functional Yoga Medicine, we are going to be hosting a breathwork sound bath workshop. It's unlike anything you think about or you think you know. It's not the sound bowls, it's not any of that, but these are two amazing human beings that are into this in a real way. I've been researching a lot on breath work. Of course, we all know the pranayams and different types of breath in yoga, but I went also to a Whittly event because I've been seeking something indigenous and I've been seeking something that was for real, as in holotropic breath work that alters your consciousness in a way where you can bypass your thinking. So we're not talking about the breath work so much today, but we are talking about the science behind sound baths, the frequency, and what it does vibrationally in your body to have a physiological healing effect, because these are of so much interest to me and fascination. So I hope you find this episode very beneficial, because if you think about orchestra and any classical music like Mozart and every when you think about instruments, right? When you have a cacophony where the beats and the rhythms don't match up, and then the frequency is kind of off kilter, immediately we have hair standing on our skin. We start to feel this, ooh, imagine like my fingertips just going across the chalkboard. Just thinking about that makes me cringe, because these are like the effects that we have. We're very sensitive to sound. And did you know dogs can hear even before they physically are anywhere near that? It's the energy that they feel. So I want you to really go into this ability of us to feel what we feel. Dr. Joseph Dispenza always says, we think with our minds, but we feel with our body. So I think that's a very good distinction to make, because oftentimes we're so much in our head, our thinking brain, that we're not feeling what we feel in our body. And we rationalize everything in our mind to create this physiological effect. We tend to sort of overemphasize the drama or the worst case scenario and cause undue stress, even when it didn't happen. So that's the laws and science of manifestation too. Whether you know it or not, the law of manifestation is that, or law of attraction, is that you're creating negative consequences and the reality that plays out in your life. Look around you. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Because chances are you're so much in your thoughts, negative thoughts, and it may be under the radar, and you get so focused on so much doing, but you don't get the results. I found this to be absolutely true across the board in my 25 years of clinical practice in different people. As a young clinician, I used to bang my head up against the wall thinking, why can't they listen to me? Why aren't they compliant? Right? But now I understand how to coach my patients better, really provide space and time to guide them towards their goals by getting deep into their thoughts and changing and shifting one belief at a time. It's broadening the perspective and entertaining new ideas and beliefs. And for that, we need repetition. We need more awareness. Let's talk a little bit about sound baths and healing. I want to delve into the science of it and the beliefs that we hold. So we understand that physical and mental go hand in hand. And really, the sound bath triggers or it facilitates physical and mental relaxation. So it tones down the waves of our brains, and it does so by the vibrational effect that sound has in our body, because vibrations from sound bath instruments can physically resonate with the body, providing a kind of massage at the cellular level, which is deeply healing. Not only that, stress reduction, because scientifically it is well documented that engaging in relaxation activities like laying still and focusing on a single sensory experience like sound can reduce stress. This makes you be present here and now. And this is due to your nervous system bypassing the thinking brain. And I found that this was a very powerful way to shut my mind off. Next is stress hormone regulation. Some studies have suggested that listening to certain types of music or even sound can lower cortisol levels in primary stress, or which is a primary stress hormone, as well as not sympathetic, but parasympathetic activation. Relaxing music and sound might activate the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting a state of calm and facilitating physiological relaxation. Second is neurological and psychological impact. So it's all about brainwave synchronization. Some people or some studies suggest that sound baths can lead to brainwave harmony, where the brain's electrical activity becomes synchronized with the rhythm of the sound. And this phenomenon has been observed in scientific studies and can synergize and harmonize at that cellular level. And when you do that at the cellular level, all the biochemistry shifts to harmonize to create the perfect concoction, medication for your specific body. Next is mindfulness and focus. The act of focusing on sound helps to create a mindful state, which has been scientifically supported to help manage stress, anxiety, and depression. There's also a phenomenon called the brainwave sync. Certain rhythmic sounds can induce brainwave entrainment where things line up, while neural oscillations synchronize with the external stimuli. And this phenomenon is evidenced in scientific literature and can be linked to altered states of consciousness and focus. Let's talk a little bit about specifically theta waves. Some sound therapies aim to enhance theta brain activity associated with deep relaxation and meditative states. There is ongoing research exploring this area further. Next is the one that I'm most excited about. It's neurotransmitter regulation. So, number one, it triggers dopamine release, because music and sound can stimulate the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, reward, potentially enhancing feelings of well being and relaxation. So, we get a dopamine hit every time we check the social media. Did you know that? That it's highly addictive and you mindlessly scroll TikTok or Instagram. I do that a lot too. It's kind of like we're in a trance and it's like you must check it. And so it's a good idea to alter this state by inducing this sound therapy. There's a lot out there on YouTube where you can find different types of sound in nature to go into deep relaxation so that you can enhance your visualization. Next is serotonin levels. When we talk about neurotransmitters, there's some evidence also to suggest that music might influence serotonin levels, which impacts mood. And there's much scientific studies underway to study the effects of this, which is fascinating. Next is the frequency and the vibration. So there is that frequency and vibration causes a cellular response deep within our bodies. And there are scientific evidence to prove that the frequency of sound and vibration can promote cellular healing, which is what I love so much about this. And then next is resonance. Every object has a natural frequency at which it vibrates, even inanimate project uh, or inanimate products. Anything like lamp or cup or a pen, right? Every object has a natural frequency where it vibrates, known as resonant frequency. And that's how it can also alter through frequency and vibration of sound, alter our cellular living cells to have a physiological effect. Isn't that fascinating? Right? Next, I want to talk about psycho, your mind, acoustic effects. So your mind is altered through the sound. Acoustics is nothing more than sound. So there's binaural beats, and this involves playing slightly different frequencies in each ear. So you have to have a earphone or headphones on, which are perceived as a single synthesized sounds by the brain, because the left and the right hemisphere of the brain um, triggers different types of activity in the brain. And by having slightly different frequencies in each ear, it's perceived as a single synthesized sound by your brain. And some studies suggest that such binaural beats can influence your mood, anxiety, although there are many researches underway. And then we've begun to hear a lot about this music therapy. There's established research that supports the use of music therapy for various psychological and even some physiological outcomes. And this is why pregnant moms should listen to classical music, harmonizing music, because it helps to organize your fetus in your womb, to organize its brain in a more synchronous way. Recognize that this is a potential to alleviate stress as well as enhance well-being, a simple thing like music therapy. And then there's the biofield therapies. So think about healing energy. It's not something we see, it's energy, right? The concept of healing energy is popular in various alternative medicine practices. I grew up with it in Korea, South Korea, but it isn't supported necessarily by empirical scientific evidence because of the rigor. But it's something that we're recognizing as a collective in the world, to recognize that the unseen, it exists, that the seen is only possible because of the activities of the unseen. In fact, there's so much more we're not seeing, that's not tangible, that's driving life force, not only in our body, but here in our world on Mother Earth. Okay. And then biofield therapies also correlate with your sleep quality. Certain sounds like white noise, like babies have this a lot for your new moms, or slow tempo music have been shown to promote better sleep quality and help manage sleep disturbances in some populations. Think about like really loud, like rock band playing versus like nice, soft meditation music, right? It has a different calming effect. So you have to believe that this does have an impact in your physiology. If you're curious about it, there is a Japanese author who is a photographer that studied the shapes of water molecule based on the words spoken. So sound, and how water was organized. And I think it's Nimoto is his last name, is a Japanese author. And he found that when you spoke kind and loving and really soothing and nurturing words, that the words H2O molecule, all energy, 70% of our body is water, then the water molecules, when it froze beautifully in crystals. But when you said different, like negative comments, curse words, for example, or negative comments, then it induced it created a very jagged crystal in the water itself. So that goes to show that the vibration, when you speak it too, is important. So words are important, sound is important. And then there's the relaxation response. Engaging in focused listening might trigger the relaxation response, reducing the physiological markers of stress as well, which is super good. Lastly, I want to touch upon this is pain management. Some studies have suggested that listening to music can be an effective adjunct in pain management, potentially due to distraction and the release of endorphins, thereby transmuting the perception of pain. So, the perception of pain, it's the receptor sites of your cells, right? So this can soothe. And that's why in Lamaze, they say, play some classical music for when the mommies are pushing the baby out without epidural. Number 5 is social and group dynamics. So group relaxation, engaging in a group activity aimed at relaxation and well-being, like sound bath, like we're hosting at Functional Yoga Medicine, October 21st, first at 6 p.m., can have a positive psychological impact due to social and collective aspects and energy coherence in the room. And then it creates a shared experience. The shared experience of sound may create a sense of community and collective calm, which can be emotionally and psychologically uplifting. There's also healing coherence, which is achieved when a number of people gather together to create synchronicity with the same intention, which can be powerful in and of itself. Okay. And I've linked some studies under here if you're curious about the effects of this, because we really want to bring or bridge the gap. As Dr. Joe Dispenza always says, I'm his biggest fan, is that language of science or scientific language unites. Mysticism, language of mysticism and religion polarizes. So this is one way we can all come together. And how you can incorporate sound in your daily life is check your words. Be very intentional with your words, as well as really listen in. Invest in a good earphones. Most of us have earphones. If you go on YouTube, binaural beats, and go into that meditative state, knowing that that sound input to your sensory nervous system, which is part of your somatic nervous system, it can facilitate proper synchronicity just by sound to have a tremendous healing effect. So my friends, try that out. I love anything holistic, but more practical, because we want to live a life that is full. And that is all about effectiveness, efficiency. It's got to be easy as well as enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Mind Your Health podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, we would so much love it and appreciate it if you share it with someone who could benefit as well as to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else where podcasts are found. And leave us a review. We would be so grateful, and it helps us to reach more people just like you, so you can become more empowered to enjoy longevity and health. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Connie Chung. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast for a new episode every single week.